The Green Bay Packers start 2026 as road warriors, then finish off with some home cooking. It's time to go win the NFC North. Let's do it.
You are Locked On Packers, your daily Green Bay Packers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Packers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Peter Bukowski, and I cover the Packers for The Leap, a newsletter I would love for you to subscribe to. Thanks to everyone for being with us. We hope you like starting your day with us as much as we like starting our day with you. Let's dig right in. It is the 2026 Packers schedule, and we have it. We have it in our hands. We're going to break it down by section, and let's start, well, at the beginning. Because this was the stretch I think we were all wondering about. And I sure do love it when a plan comes together the way that it has in this one, because you've got the Vikings to start in Minnesota. That is, by the way, exactly what we said was the ideal situation for the Green Bay Packers. But three of these first four games on the road, that presents its own problems, but you don't have Micah Parsons, and you may not have Tucker Kraft at 100%. You may not have Zach Tom at 100%. And there's always going to be other injuries that pop up, training camp, preseason, all that stuff. This slate, though, this first four, you've got at Minnesota, at New York, home opener in week 3, which, that's just, it's kind of a bummer that it's week 3, and it's a Thursday night. So not even a Sunday slate, not even like a Sunday afternoon at Lambeau. That's just kind of a bummer. And then you go to Tampa Bay. This, though, is the stretch of the schedule where you're playing a Jets team that may not win 4 games this year, a Minnesota game where you have a team very much in flux. The very first game with Kyler Murray, maybe they figure something out toward the end of the season. It's hard to imagine everybody's going to be great on the same page week 1. They've shedded a ton of talent. They're integrating some rookies. They're relying on a lot of new players to make this work. So week 1, divisional game, start 1-0 in the division. That really makes things simple. It's also not a big ask from a travel standpoint. It's a quick flight, Green Bay to Minneapolis. You're back, because then you got to get back in your Gulfstream, they don't fly Gulfstreams, to New York. It's a noon game, 1:00 East Coast, because they're going to be on the East Coast for the Jets, and the Jets stink. They stink on ice. They're just a bad football team. So this is a terrific opportunity for you to start 2-0, headed into a short week at home for an Atlanta Falcons team that's going to be quarterbacked by either Michael Penix or Tua Tagovailoa. They're a dome team playing outside. It's not going to be cold, but on a short week, Michael Penix, who knows if he's even going to be healthy for this game. Tua Tagovailoa, who knows if he's going to be healthy for this game. And it's week 3 with a new coach. So if you look at this, you've got a new quarterback in Minnesota. You've got a new quarterback and a new offensive coordinator in New York. And then you've got a new head coach, new quarterback, new offensive coordinator in Atlanta. That is a lot of teams breaking in new pieces. And so for the Packers, that is exactly the kind of start that you want to have. Because you have the continuity. You have the consistency. You have exactly what you want headed into this stretch. Now, the tough game in this first 4 weeks is Tampa Bay. And in Tampa, October. Now you're kind of lucked out that you don't have to go, like, going to Tampa September 20th. Very different than potentially 2 weeks later. You might get lucky with the weather gods. They may bless you, and it may only be 80 as opposed to 90. And that is all. It's all like you go to Florida early in the season, expect trouble. Jacksonville, Miami, of course, Miami, anytime before like Halloween, it's going to be hot. And Tampa. And that Tampa team, you know, they're trying to figure out how to replace Mike Evans. They're a team a little bit also in flux, trying to figure out, okay, are we hanging on as NFC South contenders? What are we doing? A lot of pressure on Todd Bowles. I don't see a lot of talent there. I really don't. And they won a bunch of games early in the season, and everyone's going, oh, Baker Mayfield, MVP candidate. And I'm going, Baker Mayfield, MVP candidate. They almost lost to the Jets. And by the end of the season, it became clear that this team was just not as good as their record indicated early in the season. They're an 8, a 9, if every injury break goes their way and all the turnover luck goes their way, 10-win team. That's what Tampa Bay is. I understand everyone loved their draft. They love Ruben Bain. Oh, Ruben Bain fell to them. Well, Ruben Bain is a rookie. Ruben Bain is an older rookie, but he's still a rookie. And most rookies are what? Bad. Most rookies are bad, right? So this is an opportunity. Like it's always hard to just go through and be like, all right, dub. You don't want to do the Adam Rank thing where you're like, okay, they're going to go 17-0. They're not. Like, we know this. They're humans, and you're going to have games where you're not always going to want to bring it. And that Jets game is probably going to be closer than it should be, right? But you have to be up for a divisional game against Minnesota. Like, you want to go into Minnesota ready to go. And that was why I said I think this is the perfect way to start the season. And then if you're going to have to go on the road, you don't want to go to Miami. It's going to be hot. You don't want to do that. You don't want to go. Arizona's like, the heat is not the problem. That's an indoor stadium. But like, you don't really want to go travel that far because you got to turn around and play on a short week. So it's an 1.5-hour flight, 2 hours to New York, straightforward, beat up a bad team, be 2-0 heading into your home opener where you just like, you got to be 3-0 through this stretch. The Packers are already 1.5-point favorites against Minnesota in Minnesota. They're probably going to be touchdown favorites against the Jets. And if they win those games, they're probably going to be touchdown favorites against the Falcons, almost regardless of what happens. Like, even if the Falcons win their first 2 games, I haven't even looked at the Falcons schedule. That's not the point. The Packers are going to be 4.5, 5-point favorites if the Falcons are 2-0. If they're anything else, the Packers are going to be touchdown favorites at home against the Atlanta Falcons. And then you're 3-0, if you win, headed to Tampa Bay, where you can afford to take that L, because the Packers home slate, all of their hardest games, and we knew this going in, almost all of their hardest games are at home. Of course, they play their divisional games at home, but they've got the Cowboys at home. They've got the Panthers at home. They've got the Texans at home, and they've got the Bills at home. Their most difficult non-conference or non-division road games are at New England and at LA. And we'll get to the Rams part of this, but at LA is a short week, Wednesday of Thanksgiving, but they're coming off a bye. So the short week does not affect them the same way. And that's just like, that is essential. That rest advantage, you guys know, I believe in the rest advantage. And so, you know, like they're SoFi Stadium, Netflix, like it's going to be a great time. They also have a bye, if I'm doing my math right. So they're going to have the same sort of rest. This is a schedule early in the year that I think really works out well for the Green Bay Packers. Now, the middle of the schedule, Micah Parsons coming back helps, but this is a tricky stretch that they're going to have to work through. We'll talk about it next. The 2026 NFL schedule release is here, and now you can trade every game on Koshi. Schedule release always sparks debate. Who's overrated? Who got a brutal stretch? And which teams are actually playoff contenders? Kalsi lets you trade on these predictions in a live market, from total wins to playoff chances and championship futures. On Kalshi, you can trade on real NFL questions, like whether a team makes the playoff or reaches a certain win total. And as the season outlook changes, you can buy in or out of your position live. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position, trade the draft pick, the game, and more on Kalshi. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code LOCKEDON to get $10 when you trade 10. KLKALSHI. Kalshi, trade on anything. Now, when Micah Parsons comes back, that's when you got to really start making your money, because this stretch is not going to be easy. Once Micah comes back, you've got to deal with the Chicago Bears week 5. Now, you hope Micah Parsons comes back sooner. We'll see. It was reported as we're recording this on Thursday night that he could start the year on PUP coming off an ACL. That is pretty much to be expected. Now, he can start practicing after 2 weeks. You get that ramp-up period going, and maybe he can be something close to full tilt by the time he comes back. Christian Watson was able to come back essentially full go, full send, coming off his ACL. I'm not going to put it past Micah Parsons to be ready to go sooner. And maybe he doesn't go week 1, maybe he doesn't go week 2, but they keep him on the 53-man roster, no PUP, so that, hey, if he's ready to come back on a Thursday night and then you get him the mini bye, that's kind of ideal. Like week 3 would really be ideal for Micah. Comes back, gets a little taste of the game action, gets the mini bye to recover into this Buccaneers game and then this difficult stretch. And there's another mini bye a month later with the Carolina Panthers. So this is really the stretch where I think they can decide we are contenders, right? Because you've got home for Chicago, home for Dallas, at Detroit, home on a short week for Carolina, in New England. So you're coming off your mini bye. You got to go to the defending AFC champs. And then you come home for Minnesota before you have a week 11 bye. Week 11 bye, especially with the new system, is a great bye. I think week 10 is probably like perfect. But 10, 11, 9, 10, 11, that's the sweet spot. Because too late, like that week 14, week 13 bye, it's like, nah, you need the bye sooner than that. You need to get some guys healthy. And the NFL set it up so that they have their bye before that short week. I think that's going to be the sort of de rigueur move for the NFL. If someone's going to play on a Wednesday, they really need to have the bye. Like Thursday is already pushing it. But that stretch, if you just win your home games in that stretch and you get the 4 wins at home, even if you take losses, you could be 7 whatever it is, 7-3 heading into your bye. If that's as bad as it gets, I think you're going to be in a really good position. By the way, the Packers last year, remember, 9-3-1 when the season went to hell in a handbasket in Denver. So you have to win those home games. This can't be like Micah's back, let's exhale. But the Packers can also absolutely go to Detroit and win. They can like New England. Are we like 100% sure Mike Vrabel is going to be the coach this year? 100%? With everything that's going on over there? Are we 100% sure they're going to be a 12 or a 13 win team this year, given that their schedule's not nearly as easy? I'm not. I think they could miss the playoffs. Like, I just don't. I know, okay, they're going to trade for AJ Brown, and that's going to make them better. But like, I don't know, man. I don't think that team is that talented. And it's certainly not the kind of thing where you're like, oh, we got to go play New England. It's really not that. And November 8th in New England, the weather's not going to be crazy, though you could get some rain in a situation like that. This, to me, this is where the Packers season really fell apart last year. That can't happen again. Just cannot. You cannot lose these stupid games. You can't have the Browns and the Panthers game ends up looking better in retrospect, but like they didn't play well in that game at all. Philly, they played too conservative. In these games, in this stretch, like even if you leave 3-1 or 4-0 from the first month, you're gonna need your A game in these games. Chicago's gonna be good. Dallas is gonna be good. Detroit is gonna be good. Carolina is gonna be good. and the Patriots are going to be good. That's 5 good teams in a row that you've got to play. So you have to prove it. You have to come out of that stretch 3-2, 5-1, or 4-1, and then beat Minnesota. This is a year where this has got to be the not messing around crew, because the rest of your schedule is just too difficult. This has to be a year where you don't lose any of the stupid games. You can't just not show up to one of these. Now, having all of these difficult games does mean that this team has to be up every week. And we have seen the Packers, certainly last year, certainly in 2023, 2024, a little different, get up for these big games. And then it's about finishing those games. You are going to be battle tested heading into your bye. Like, you start the season, you get to kind of work your way in. There's no our sisters of perpetual sorrow in the NFL. So none of these are a given. Our pal, Coach Jagosinski, loves to say every week you're eligible for an ass kicking. So you're still going to have to bring your A game. But if you go 3-1 or 4-0 in that first stretch and then just win your home games, and you only have 2 or 3 losses heading into the bye, now you've really set yourself up for success. And I think as we stand here today, I think that's a reasonable expectation to be 7-3 or 8-2, something like that, heading into your bye. And then that's where things get tough. Like the end of the season, that's the stretch of games where you really have to do it at Lambeau. And the same is true in the middle of this season. Like the old Mike McCarthyism was win all your home games, go 500 on the road, you're a 12-win team, and you're probably going to win the NFC North. If the Packers win 12 games this year, they are going to win the NFC North. Now, the Lions have a very easy schedule. So they are going to win 10, 11 games. But if you beat them in Detroit, like that stretch of games, Bears, Cowboys, Lions, Panthers, that feels so pivotal in this season. If you go 3-1 in that stretch, you have really taken the bull by the horns in the NFC. Like if you're 7-1, 6-2, headed to New England, that's going to be, obviously marquee game, national TV, late window, America's game of the week, all that stuff. You've got the Vikings looming and then you're bye. You can afford to drop that Patriots game if you've done the work in the NFC. And so you have to do the work in the NFC. If you look at that stretch, they're going to be favored at home in all those home games. Probably will not be favored against the Lions and the Patriots. So if we went through and just picked the games, okay, what are the games that they're going to be favored in? I think you can make the case they will be favored in their first 6 games, depending on what Tampa does. If Tampa starts hot, maybe they're not favored in Tampa. But they'll be favored in all those games, headed to Detroit. My guess is Detroit will have a nice record and the Lions will be favored. And my guess is, unless the Patriots season goes kind of the way I'm explaining, I think the Patriots will be favored by week 9. If they don't look good, like if they're 5-4 and the Packers are 7-1, like I could see the Packers or 5-3, whatever it is. I could see the Packers being favored, but probably not. And then you're going to be favored at home against the Vikings. So before the bye, the first 10 weeks of the season, there's really probably only 2 games where you are not going to be the favorite. If you want to go to the Super Bowl, you have to win those games. You have to, there's no excuses. You have to win those games. If the Packers just win the games that they are favored in, as you look at this schedule, at Detroit, at New England, at LA, at Chicago, maybe at Tampa. Those are the only games all year, if things just go kind of normal, that I see the Packers being underdogs in. Win the games where you're the favorite, you're 12-5. And you probably win the NFC North. And I think, as we stand here today, 12-5 is a pretty good prediction of what this Packers team is going to be. You need to get to 12 wins. It would be the best performance by a Jordan Love team It would be the best performance by a Matt LaFleur team since 2021. And yeah, the Rams are going to be good. The Seahawks are going to be good. You're going to, a team in the East is going to emerge. The South kind of stinks. 12 wins, you could be the 2 seed. 13 wins, you're almost certainly going to be the 1 seed because the NFC West is going to be an absolute bloodbath. But again, that means you can't drop the silly ones early. You come out 4-0. It gives you a little more wiggle room to go on the road in Detroit and drop a close game. On the road in New England, drop a close game. But that means you have to take care of business. And then that sets up the final stretch where, once again, the home games are paramount. Let's talk about it next. The NBA playoffs are here and every possession matters. If you're looking to get even closer to the action, FanDuel has a great offer to get you started. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. That's right. Turn $5 into $150 in bonus bets just for getting started. You can check stats, trends, and matchups before making your picks, which makes the whole experience feel a lot more informed. Whether you're looking at player props or just following your favorite stars, it adds another level of excitement to every game. Plus, it's an app that's easy to navigate, and it makes playoff basketball even more engaging from start to finish. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. Today's episode also brought to you by our friends at Rocket Money. It can be confusing. It can be overwhelming to get everything that you need in your financials in one place and have the understanding of everything that you're looking at. Rocket Money is there to help you take control of all your finances in one place. It tracks your subscriptions in one spot and can help cancel the ones you don't use with just a few taps. It automatically categorizes your spending so you can actually see where your money is going. And you can get budgets set alerts, and stay on top of upcoming bills. It makes everything feel more organized and gives you a clearer picture of your finances day to day. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join rocketmoney.com/locked-on. That's rocketmoney.com/locked-on. Coming out of the bye, you go to LA, Thanksgiving week, island game, Netflix. That's going to be a tough game. And that's why you have to make hay while the sun shines in the first 10 weeks. You've got to win those home games. You can't drop the silly ones. Now, this game could end up being a major NFC playoff implications kind of tiebreaker. And if you're going to play on a short week, ideally, you'd like the next week to be an opponent where that time is really going to matter. I don't think the Saints are that kind of opponent. I don't think they're the kind of team where you need the extra time to prepare for, but you do have to go on the road. So after going to LA, time change, short week, body clock's going to be all off. You can go home, you can reset, you can get some rest, get your body right, and now you're going to travel down to New Orleans. That's not going to be an easy game, but I don't like Tyler Shuck. I know they had a nice draft, but that team, that's a 7-8 win team. If the season goes the way we're talking about, the Packers are going to be favored in that game. And then this is the money stretch. Home for Buffalo, home for Miami, in Chicago on Christmas, home for Houston on Monday Night Football. And then week 18, I would think, is going to be, I think there's a really good chance it is Sunday Night Football, but it could be America's Game of the Week Sunday night. It could be a primetime game on Saturday night, but it is going to be one of the big games of week 18, unless the seasons for one of these two teams just goes totally off the rails. But it is at home. It is at Lambeau Field. And if you're going to play Josh Allen, you'd much rather it be at Lambeau. And if you're going to play the Houston Texans and that defense, you would much rather it be at Lambeau. January, guys, do you understand? On Monday night, on January 4th, how flippin' cold it's going to be. Did you see CJ Stroud in the playoffs? He was an abomination in New England. As bad as you can play in a playoff game, he was horrible. Ball's going to be slick. That offensive line's not very good. They don't run the ball effectively. Like, I know their defense is lights out. This has like a 13-10 kind of vibe to it. Not going to be a lot of points. But I think the Packers have a clear advantage just because they're the Packers and the Houston Texans are the Houston Texans. Not like, oh, one team sucks and one. No. Warm weather team, dome team, playing the AFC South where you play Jacksonville, dome team Indianapolis, and Tennessee. You're coming up for a January night game. You've got to take care of that one. I know that defense is really good. I know DeMeco Ryans is a great coach, and that defense is unbelievable. But also, by then, you hope your offensive line is coalesced. Will Anderson was asked at the Super Bowl, I don't remember if it was this past year or the year before, who the toughest offensive lineman he faced. I think it was actually after 2024, that Super Bowl. He was telling Kevin Clark that the best offensive lineman he faced was Zach Tom. So if Zach Tom is healthy, if this offensive line stays relatively healthy, by January, they better have coalesced or you're in big trouble. And then another cold weather game outside, Jared Goff in the cold, dome team with what is almost certainly going to be major playoff implications. And you go back to 2022. Most of this team was not on that team. But Matt LaFleur was there. And Christian Watson was there. There are players on this team now that were there for that. And the Packers could not get it done. And you can be sure that even though most of this team did not play in that game, Jordan Love was there, he didn't play. Matt LaFleur is going to be showing them clips from that game. Because the Packers had more than enough chances in that game. They did not play tough enough. They did not play smart enough. They did not execute well enough. I don't think Matt LaFleur called a great game. Aaron Rodgers played one of the worst big games of his career. He had fully checked out by then. That's a different issue. But that game could decide the NFC North. Like, legitimately, that game could be for the NFC North. And so if that's the case, here's your shot. That game could be for the number one seed. That game could be for the NFC North and the number one seed. Well, the Lions have played in a game like that more recently. In fact, 2 years ago, they played Minnesota in a win and you get the one seed game, and Detroit beat the crap out of that Vikings team. Now, Ben Johnson was there. Aaron Glenn was there. Different group, and that game was in a dome. Now you're coming to Lambeau. The Packers swept the Lions last year. You know they're going to be pissed off. But does that team, the speed they have with Jamison Williams and Jahmyr Gibbs, does it translate the same way January 9th or January 10th on a frozen field? And I know the Packers, like, they want to throw the ball around the yard too. But they don't rely on speed the same way that, like, Jahmyr Gibbs does. And by the way, the Packers defended Jahmyr Gibbs extremely well, even in Detroit last year. Those 4 games, that's their season. You go 4-0 in those games, or even 3-1 in those games, as long as the one is like Buffalo or Houston, you've given yourself a chance to win the NFC North. And as I look at this schedule, again, I think they're going to be favored in every game except at Detroit, at New England, at LA, at Chicago. And who knows, like, the Bears may have 6 wins, 7 wins at that point. Now, I think what happened in the playoffs could inform that, but if the Packers have 10, 11 wins already and the Bears have 6, they could certainly be favored in Chicago. But let's just say, like, as we're sitting here, win totals, all that stuff, those teams are close enough, but LA, Chicago, Detroit, New England, maybe Tampa. That's max 5 games. And I think that maps perfectly with the way that I view this team. They're a 12-win team, sort of straight down the line. Just win the games you're supposed to win or not. That's 12 games. Things go right. They stay a little bit healthier. Micah Parsons comes back a little sooner. They can win 13. You get unlucky with health. You don't show up in the big moments, or you drop a stupid game, then we're talking about a 10-win, 11-win team. And that's life in the NFL as a potential contender. You got to get some breaks. You got to get some health, but you got to take care of business. This is a take care of business kind of season. And I think the Packers are set up really nicely to go out and win 12 games, win the NFC North, and then you got to show up in the playoffs. So none of it matters. Like, okay, cool. They finally win the NFC North. They host a playoff game and they lose. Well, great. You know, I have good news and bad news for you. Like, wouldn't you rather not win the North and then win a bunch of playoff games? Sure. But this is going to battle test the Packers. And if they win 12 games, let's say, they will be ready to make a playoff run. They will have shown it already because they will have had to win tough games at home, but they also give themselves an opportunity to play these games at home. And I don't know if you're feeling like I am, but I can't wait for the season now. Now that I see it, now that I'm looking at it, I think this team has a chance to be really good. I think the schedule works out well for them overall. Yes, there's some tough stretches, but you mix home and road. They have 2 mini buys plus the buy before the short week. A straightforward, I'm not going to say easy because there's no easy games in the NFL, but a straightforward start where you can start out 3-1, 4-0. And then, like, if you start 4-0, you really, like, if you just go 500 the rest of the way, you're going to be a playoff team. You win an extra game or two, now you've got a chance to win your division. So that start, get off to a hot start. Everything rolls downhill from there. Thanks to everyone who makes Locked On Packers their first listen every single day. Subscribe to Locked On Packers wherever you get podcasts. On YouTube, where we're going to be live twice a week with the squad show, even into the offseason. Follow me on the socials, wherever you happen to be on the socials. And if you're listening here, there's 32 minutes into the show, you should be in the Everydayer Club. LockedOnPackers.supercast.com gets you ad-free episodes of Locked On Packers, plus access to the group chat. Our Friday news dump is coming at you. We're going to talk more about the schedule, answer your questions about the schedule, answer our Everydayer Club questions. We program our whole Friday show around the Everydayer Club. So join the Everydayer Club. We're always here for you so you can stay Locked On Packers.